Hi everyone, this is Denise from Creates with Love, and I thought today it would be a fun project to make a man cave gift. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be just a man cave gift. It could also be a dad cave gift. So I thought I've been dying to use Cricut's aluminum sheets because I don't know if you realize this or not, but you can actually infuse the transfer sheets onto Cricut's aluminum sheets. So these aluminum sheets that you can find on their website, and I'm not sure if they're on Amazon or not. I can look, and if it is, I'll link it in my description for you. But these are pretty cool. They come in different sizes, and you can put an infusible ink transfer sheet on it, but you can also engrave them. So it gives you a lot of opportunity. They have like a metallic color background. So when you engrave them, they look really good. Now today is not about engraving them. I have one of those lined up for in the future, but today I wanted to stick with the designs that I created, I will put on in my resource library, and this is dedicated to just using the infusible ink transfer sheet on the aluminum sheets that Cricut has. Now, they're specific because they're specially coated so that the infusible ink sticks to it. So please don't think you can go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby or anywhere and get just a piece of aluminum sheet and think that infusible ink will stick to it. It won't. It has to be for this project, it has to be Cricut's blank because they have it specially fused so that the ink can actually adhere to it. All right, so let's get it started. So I've already put my files on my resource library. I have two of them currently. One is the man cave sign, and the other one is the dad cave sign. Now, the man cave sign, I designed it specifically with a very specific infusible ink transfer um, design. It's the one that has the tire tread in it and oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the other part. Hold on one sec. I'm grabbing it. Okay, that one is called steel plate design. So it's got the steel plate and it's got a tire tread design and a color red and then a kind of a mottled black grayish color. So that's going to be for my man cave sign. The one I'm going to do today on video is the dad cave sign. And for that, I am using the one that's called Patterns Carbon Fiber. So I'll show you what both of those boxes look like soon when I head on over to my Cricut Maker. But first, let me show you where to get the files in case you have not received any or used any of my files before. So this is my website. It's createswithlove.com. And you can go right to the resource library. It's password protected. And so if you don't have a password, you want to go here and sign up, and it will let you know what the password is. If you already have the password or you just received it, you just type it in right here and then hit enter on your enter key, and it'll take you directly to my library. Okay, so today I've already done the man cave file, but I'm going to show you what the dad cave file looks like. So you'll click on dad cave files, and it's going to download, if you have a Chrome browser, down in your left lower hand corner. Now, if you are on a Mac, it might go to your downloads file, possibly up here, depending on which browser you're using. So either look for it here or look for it down here. What I like to do is simply just drag this file over to my desktop. Okay? Now, I've already got the file, so I can just close this out. I don't need to keep it up. And I'm going to double click this zipped file, and it's going to be right here. I'm going to double click it one more time. Now, the only one that I'm going to use today is the SVG files. So depending on what cutting machine, or if you wanted to cut this out by hand, I guess suppose you could do that too. I supply all the files, depending on whatever machine you have, something here should work for you. So I'm going to take the SVG file, which is right here, and I'm just going to drag it again right over to my desktop. It just makes it easier to plop into Design Space. Okay, so I don't need this. I'm going to close it. I'm going to bring up my Design Space. I'm going to upload. I'm going to upload image. Oh, here's a little sneak peek of what the man cave one looks like. So that's where you put the tire track. Anyway, kind of cool. I'll show you at the end of this video what they both look like. Okay, so upload the image. And then right here, see where it says drag and drop file here? I'm just going to simply grab that file that I put on my desktop. That's the SVG. I'm going to drag it. I'm holding down my mouse. As soon as it turns green, I can release my mouse and it plops it right there. Okay, so for tags, I'm just going to put man cave and then hit save. All right, so here is our file. We're going to click it once. Once it's green, I'm going to click on insert image. Okay, it's already pre-sized for you for a 7x5 or a 5x7 aluminum. Keep wanting to call it aluminum tin. I'm not sure what they're actually called, but I have it already sized, so there's nothing that you need to do except for when you get the file, it's going to be grouped. So it doesn't matter if you in-group it or not. These are cut specifically to do the slice and set method for you, which is awesome. It's already prepared for you. So basically, all you have to do is click on Make It. It's going to separate it into the two separate colors, the two separate layers, right? We're going to have one layer here and the second layer here. Now, with Infusible Ink projects, you need to make sure that you mirror your project. And when I use Infusible Ink projects, I like to have a little bit of space around my letters for when I'm doing the weeding because it's a little bit different. So I'm going to move this down just a little bit. Remember, these are separate letters that are going to fit into the other one, so it doesn't matter that they're not moving together, right? We're going to be using each one of these letters separately to place inside of the other design. I'll show you what I mean in a minute because we're doing the slice and set. So, okay, so these are good here. I'm going to make sure that I mirror it. So whenever you use Infusible Ink, you always want to make sure you mirror. I'm going to go down to my second mat, and this one is fine. It's got enough room for me. These are the letters, the separate letters that we're going to be flipping over upside down and placing inside of here. So we just need to mirror it, and we are good to go. Click on Continue. Okay, and I've already got Infusible Ink Transfer Sheets here as a favorite. If you don't, just click on Browse All Materials and find your Infusible Ink Transfer Sheet. So I'm going to click on that. We've got default pressure and, of course, our fine point blade, and that's all we need to do. One little tip, though, before we go and handle our ink is to make sure that whenever you use Infusible Ink project or products, you want to make sure that your hands are cleaned with soap and water and dried before you handle the ink so as to not affect your beautiful design. All right, so let's head on over to the maker. I'll see you in a bit. Now, if you're planning on making the man cave with the tire tread file, I want to show you the process for that. It's a little bit different way of setting it up than we do with the dad's cave. So let me show you this real quick, but then when it gets to the project, how to apply the infusible ink to the aluminum sheet, everything is identical, just you're just using different files. Okay, so if you don't have the man cave tire tread files yet, you want to go to my resource library. And I've already been here today, so I'm not going to have to enter my password, but I'll go ahead and click on the man cave files instead of the dad cave. I'm going to do man cave files, and it's going to download in my very lower left-hand side of my Chrome browser. I'm just going to take it and drag it to my desktop. I'm going to close this as I don't need it anymore. I'm going to double-click my file that I just drug off. It's going to open here. I'm going to double-click it again. And here are all the files. The only one that I'm going to use today is the SVG. Choose the file that you need for your cutting machine. I'm going to take that and I'm going to drag that as well off to my desktop. Okay, close this. So I'm going to go to Upload Image. I'm going to take that SVG file. I'm going to click it with my left mouse key and I'm going to hold it and drag it. When the window turns green like this, I'm going to let go of my mouse. It's going to deposit my file right here. I'm going to name this Man Cave instead of Dad Cave and click Save. I'm going to click it here. When I get the green box, I can insert the image up into Design Space. Okay, so let's talk about this file just for a little bit. So I made the file perfectly to fit the 5x7 aluminum sheets. So you'll see though it says 9 inches by 6.9 inches. That's because it's measuring the tire tread. The only way I could get the tire tread to line up perfectly here without this being here, right? That would have kind of messed up the look of the design I was going after. So it's going to give you a bigger measurement, but trust me to know that this square here or rectangle is the exact same size as the dad cave one. So you'll be fine for applying it towards your aluminum sheet. Okay. You don't need to ungroup it, unlock it, resize it, unless you're making something smaller. But this file is set up for the 5x7. So at this point here, simply click on Make It, and you'll see when it gets to the mats, it's going to separate it into each individual layer. So click on Make It, and here's the very bottom layer. And see how it slices it out perfectly, and then the tire tread will fit perfectly right into these slots right here, okay? We don't need to do anything to this except for to mirror it. Okay, click on the tire tread. Now, this is the one I want to adjust, okay? The Infusible Ink Tire Tread Transfer Sheet, the treads go horizontally. So what I'm going to do is click this. In order to get this, I had to click on the file, okay? So once you click on it, then you can click the little arrow, and you're going to move it horizontally, and then I'm going to drag it up to right about there. That gives me enough weeding room for it all the way around. Okay, so this is perfect, except for we just need to mirror it. And then we click on the word mat. So this is man cave. We don't do anything except for just to mirror it. Okay, we'll go back up to the top mat and click continue. Okay, again, select Infusible Ink Transfer Sheet if you have it saved as a favorite. If not, you will find this selection under Browse All Materials. All right, keep it on default pressure and 5-point blade and you're good to go. All right, and then proceed with the instructions on the dad cave, which shows you the exact same method. The only thing different is you're just weeding different materials, but it's the same thing. Your gray sheet is going to be, this one right here, is going to be your main canvas, and then you will pick out the tire tread and you will pick out the separate letters and put them into this gray one here, just like you'll see me do on the dad cave process. All right, take care. All right, so here is the first Infusible Ink Transfer Sheet, and let me show you what the box looks like for this one. This is the Patterns Carbon Fiber. So this is what the carbon fiber, this is going to be the background of the sign, and I'm going to use this for the letters of the sign. Okay. And then let me show you the tire tread one. This is the one I used in the man cave sign that I used. So this one's called steel plate, and this is what I used for the tire, this is what I used for the letters, and this is what I used for the background. So I just want to show you that real quick. This is really, you're going to love the look of this. It's amazing. Okay, so when you do your Infusible Ink Transfer Sheet, again, make sure your hands are clean, mine are clean and washed, and you want to put your Infusible Ink design up, the transfer tape side down on your mat. Your green mat is really the best to use for this project. Go ahead and load it into your mat and click load and click cut. Okay, we're going to unload the mat. I don't know if you can see that up here. But cut it really nice. I don't know if you can see that or not. But so basically what we'll be doing is I'm going to trim around here. Okay. So I'll take this off, I'll trim it with scissors around here, and then basically I'll be picking each little letter out and putting it in the other design that I'm going to cut next. So for right now, let me just take this off of our mat. I'm going to use transfer paper just so I'm not putting my ink on directly on my counter. And I'm simply going to just peel it off. I think I said transfer paper, but what that is butcher paper. Okay, so I'll set this back here. Now I'm going to line up my other design. This is the carbon fiber part. I love this. It is amazing once you put heat to it, what it ends up looking like. Really quality material for this type of project. Okay, so simply put ink or design side up, out, I should say. I like to use my brayer if it is being stubborn on sticking. There we go. And load my mat. And click the go button. So I'm going to trim this down with my scissors while this is cutting. And vice versa. If you wanted, you could measure out and just cut the size piece you want and put it on your Cricut mat. It doesn't bother me to put the whole thing here. My workspace is clean, so it's not going to affect anything. Also, if you have a paper trimmer, which I do, but it's tucked away and I didn't think to get it out for this project, but you could also use that right now instead of scissors. I'm just kind of rolling. It's going to kind of crack it a little bit, make it a little bit easier to access these letters. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to set this, unload my mat, and the same thing, I'm going to lay it down on my butcher paper. And just peel back. I'm going to close this. Just to give myself a little bit more room here. All right. So on this one, what I'm going to do is trim right around. I can see the design. If I kind of look at it from an angle, I'm sure it's not showing up on film, but we're going to keep this all intact, except for on this one, we're going to be peeling out the letters to not use them. You can certainly save them, put them in a little plastic baggie or something and save them in case you want to reverse it and use it on a different project. But, so I'm just going to trim right around. You'll see there's an actual rectangle around for the whole outside of the project. So I'm just going to trim like maybe 1/4 inch away from the outside edge, all the way from here to there. Yeah, so you can't see it from that side. You got to go from the side that it's harder to see. In person, it's easier to see. This stuff is a little tricky just because it's so stiff, but you'll get the hang of it after a couple. It's definitely different than using iron-on or vinyl. But I'm telling you that the outcome is impressive, so it's worth go ahead and doing something new and different. I know some of you have the products but have been hesitant to use them, so I'm hoping that doing a tutorial like this will help you feel more comfortable using your infusible inks, because they are amazing. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside. What I do with my transfer sheets is they come in this bag, so any leftover that I have, I roll up and I put back in the bag, and then it also comes, if you haven't seen them, it also comes with a little cloth. Some people think this is used to wipe things down. It's not. This is actually in case you weren't sure what the design's going to look like on a piece of fabric like their t-shirt material. This is exactly what that is. They're giving us the material that they use in their t-shirts so that we can take, you know, say we just design a cute little heart and we can put it on here to see what it's going to look like when we put it on our fabric. So it's like a test cloth or a test sample, if you will. They also come with, this is to help the silica stuff to help prevent moisture. So especially if you live in a humid climate, definitely, I live in dry California heat, but if you live in humidity, I would keep this. I keep it with mine anyway, but especially if you live in a humid area, definitely put this back in with your leftover pieces. Infusible ink likes to be kept dark, so put it all back in here. This is just a link to give you some instructions for how to get to help if you need help. And then put your put your other extra pieces back here and just put it back in the box. That's what I do with mine. That way it's all super clean and ready for my next project. All right, so with this, remember, like I said, we're going to keep this whole part. So the outside portion, right, the outside piece, we don't need. So that's where I'm going to get mine started. I'm going to just crack it like that, and this will make the whole outside part come off. Okay, and then now I'm just going to simply get the letters. I'll be able to see them. You just kind of crack them and you'll be able to see them. So I've got cave down at the bottom here, so this is going to be a C, and I'm just going to remove the C but keep the background there. Okay, next I've got the A, right here. So when we do our sign, it's going to go just like this onto our aluminum sign. I couldn't think of the word. Okay, so now I'm going to take the other one, right, this piece here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to peel out just the letters, flip them over, and put them on top of the transfer tape. And this part, it's a little tedious, so I will definitely fast forward through this part. You want to try to put it exactly where the letters were. If you don't, worst case scenario is it'll just be off. It'll like maybe have a line next to the letter, which really, I mean, if it's not that much of a line, it's really no big deal. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but you want to try to line it up just so that it just right. That's why they call it slice and set. You want to set it right in there as good as you can. Okay, and you know, it will take some time, so again, I'm going to work on this, but I will go ahead and fast forward so you don't have to sit there and be bored. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so let's get to the exciting part. So this is going to be where we're going to adhere the ink to this aluminum sheet. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like. This is the box that it comes in. Make sure you can see it. And it comes in this size. This is 5 by 7. It comes with 2 pieces that are stuck to this little tray here. Okay, so we don't need this. I don't need this one. I'm going to save this for another project. So you want to make sure that you put your have your easy press mat here. You want to put your cardstock here so that we're protecting our mat from getting any ink, possible ink on it. And then this is important for the infusible ink. If you're engraving, you can engrave on either side. But if you're just going to put infusible ink on it, the clear side, well, let me start that over. Each side has a piece of protective film, okay? This side is clear protective film, this side is gold. So let me compare the two. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so let me just set them down. Okay, so this side, or I'm sorry, the clear side is where you want to put the infusible ink on. This is the back, okay? So I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to clear the back of the gold off first so I don't get them confused. I'm going to take some heat resistant tape. This is the kind that Cricut sells. I just happen to put it in a tape dispenser that I like. And I'm just going to put a piece of tape on here to remind myself that this is the side I don't want to put the infusible ink on, right? Just a friendly little reminder. What I'm also going to do is now take it and flip it over, and I'm going to peel this side of the clear protective coating off. This side is stuck on really good. There we go. Again, make sure your hands are clean. Okay, so infusible ink, right? You want to put, well, first of all, I should wipe this off. Even though I just took that off, they always recommend that you wipe it with a lint-free cloth. This is just your typical cleaning cloth. Okay, flip that over. There we go. Okay, I'm actually going to use this tape here again in a second. I'll show you why. It'll help me line up my project the way I designed it. Okay, so again, there's the back side that we don't want the infusible ink on, so we're going to put it down. We've wiped it off. You know, they do say to preheat for 15 seconds. I'm honestly not sure why on this one, but let me just turn on my heat press. It's over here to the right. I was told that the reason why that you preheat is to draw, like say on a t-shirts, to help draw out moisture. I don't know if that's the case for this or not, but I know that I don't want to put my ink on it if it's too hot either. So that might be why they're saying to only preheat it for, I think it's 15 seconds. Okay, so for infusible ink with a Easy Press 2 is 385-degree temperature. Okay, so I'm going to preheat for the 15 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and cover it with my butcher paper. And like I said, just 15 seconds. And lift up. So now I am going to let that cool a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to put the ink, I don't want to put this on it and then, you know, be moving it around so that I can get it lined up And this does get really warm. I've got a thermometer checker, let me see. So just that little bit of time, it's at 300 degrees. Now it's 297, 284, so it's dropping 273. So I'm gonna let that cool for a little bit and then come back. Okay, so it's at 120 degrees. It's cooled down considerably. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you noticed, but this got discolored. And I don't know that I want to turn this up, because what I'm going to do is turn this upside down. I'd rather put it on clean cardstock. So I'm just going to take this and flip it over for right now so I can remove this. Okay, so now make sure all of this stayed in place and it looks good. Okay, so this is what it looks like, right? You see how it's a little loose, but that's okay. A good way to check to see how your letters lined up would be to flip this over, and you can see, let me just move this. That's the back side. So if I set this down, I think you'll be able to see it better. You can kind of see how well you have your letters lined up. Okay? That's really helpful, because from the other side it's kind of hard to tell, especially with the carbon fiber design. Now when I look at this, it looks like my A is actually slightly off, like I have it tilted just a little bit. So I'm going to take this opportunity to unstick my paper. So it looks like it needs to scooch a little bit more that way, just to the left. So I'm going to take that and just put it back in. And it's kind of funny, when you get used to working with this, you can kind of feel it snap into place. So hopefully that tip will help you. I honestly didn't notice that until I had, been working with it a few times here and there. Okay, so let's check that A again. There we go. Much better lined up. Okay, so we're good to go with this. Move this out of the way. Okay, so we're going to flip this back over. I just wanted it to help cool down. So remember, the tape is the back side. Now, typically, this is how we're going to press it. But in order to line it up the way that I designed it, I wanted to make it easier on you. So I made the design slightly larger than this is, because I didn't want you to try and line it up and have a little piece miss and then have some silver looking loop-de-doo thing there. So what I would suggest is taking this and putting it this way. Okay, take the side, this is the back side, this is the side you want the ink to go against. Put it on top, okay, and just kind of flatten it down. Now, all you have to do is line it up with this piece, right? Had I made the ink or the design the same size as this, it would have been a lot harder to line up. So in times like this, I don't really consider that wasting this tiny little line of infusible ink, because this is what's going to make your project look perfect. In my opinion. Anyway, and it will help make the wording line up. So I think this is lined up good. Let me just check one thing real quick. I'm going to lean forward. It might get my head in your way, and I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that I'm all lined up. Okay, I'm going to grab some heat resistant tape, and what that's going to do And again, this is that same tape that I had in this dispenser here. And I'm just going to tack it right here. Because it's heat resistant, it's not going to hurt anything. And this will just help keep your design in place, which is so helpful, right? Because you let go of this and it's like it wants to curl. So I'm going to tape it. They say that you don't have to use Infusible ink with the transfer sheets, but I find it helpful, and I find I get a much better press with it. Okay, so now I don't have to worry about this wiggling or shifting or anything, okay? So now I want to flip it back over. Okay, so your design is your easy press mat. This is the way you layer it. You do the easy press mat, then your cardstock to protect your mat. Then, remember, we taped it off, so this is the back side that you do not put ink on. This is the correct side that you do put ink on. You just want to center this, because we've already done the prep work here. You want to set it down here, and then you want to put your butcher paper and begin. I think this is fine, but I'm going to use a new piece. Okay, and just put this right over here. And then you want to make sure that your easy press goes right on top. We're going to do 385 for 40 seconds. Okay, so we can kind of see through here. Want to make sure you cover the whole thing with your press. So what I do is look straight down at it, and then I will know that this part is covered, okay? Put it straight down, don't move it, and hit the timer for 40 seconds. And it says no pressure, but I don't like to let go of my easy press, because if my cord, the cords are so stiff, and if you kind of step away for a minute, it might shift your easy press. Okay, you want to lift straight up. And remove your butcher paper. And this is really hot. You can see the liner is already shrinking away. That's a sign that it's definitely done. But it's, you know, it's 200 and something degrees. So not a good time to touch it. So I'm going to let this cool, and then I will be back. Okay, so it's 114 and going down. There's that part, and then remember we had the tape on there, so that part just peeling away ever so carefully, just so that I can get to there we go. Wow. You guys, look at that. Isn't that awesome? I've had this idea since before Christmas, and I've been so excited to show you this, because I did a test one and I was like, oh my gosh, it is just, to me, that is so amazing that we can make something like this with our Cricut makers. I mean, right? I think this even has really good selling potential. If you have a Cricut and you want to sell something like this, a product that's already made, right? I mean, this is really amazing. And if you think about all the different varieties of infusible ink, right, the options are limitless. It's not just to a dad cave or a man cave sign, right? This would make awesome home decor. So this is so unbelievable. And you can see all my letters were lined up really well. I'm hoping you're not getting a glare. Let me check behind me. Oh, so you couldn't even hardly see it. Trying to get so my lights aren't in there. Seeing this in person is amazing. I don't know that my lighting, I'm going to try and put it in front of my other camera. Let me just peel this tape off. That's what that is. Okay, so it's completely cooled. I want to say it took maybe 5 minutes to cool. I just went and pet my kitty cat while I was waiting. So I'm just going to take the back of that tape off. Now, I wanted to show just real quick, two easy ways that you could display this. This is all just trash now, okay? See why you use your butcher paper? This would have been on your Easy Press mat had we not used this, so always good to do that. Let me just move my trash over here. So what I had in mind was several things, okay? Oh, I forgot. I was going to show you in this camera to see if you could see it better. Isn't that amazing? Trying to get it out of the light. Wow. I'm sorry, I know I'm showing you a lot, but this is how excited I've been. This is so freaking cool. Okay, now I have this these, so if you didn't want to hang the sign, you could do something like this. Okay, so it's just your typical plate stand holder, I guess you call it. I will link in my description where I got these. I think these, with being black with this design, is perfect, and I love these because they have the non-skid, so you don't have to worry about burning your surfaces or having it slip around. So if you didn't want to hang it on the wall, you could definitely use one of these for display, right? How awesome is that? But what I'm going to show you as well is the opportunity to use some of the wood frames. I got these from Denise, and I'll link to the description for this as well. What I'm going to do is, I don't know if you've seen the wood burning technique where you use a torch. So I'll film that separately and then hook it up to this one. But I want to do like the wood burning technique and then put this on here, right? I think that will make a really nice background. If you didn't want to do the wood burning technique, you could leave it just like this, right? You could just somehow get some type of a hanger, okay, that you could have if you wanted to hang it on the wall, or like I said, do that. Or you could wood burn this or paint it or stain it and then use some E6000 glue or even a hot glue gun and just put it on there. And I think it would make a really nice sign, right? I think that would be really awesome. Alrighty, I will do the wood burning and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I just want to let you know that I have all my safety precautions in place for doing this inside. I've got really good ventilation in my office right now. I would prefer you do this outside, but I'm comfortable doing this inside as I've done it many times before. But if you feel more comfortable, please do this outside. I've got silicone sheets covering my whole desk area right here, plus aluminum foil, plus using heat resistant tape. So just to let you know. So basically what burning wood is I'm going to be using a torch such as this. This is a Burnzo-Matic. See if I can get it in here. They're super easy to use. You simply just unlock it. You turn this nozzle just slightly to the left and you push this button here. You continually hold that button while you're using it. The minute you take the button off, the flame stops. The best way to use these is just a constant flow of motion. The more time that you keep this pointed in one space, so I don't have any heat on now. But if I was to just keep this right here, then it's going to make a completely dark spot, which is fine if that's the look that you're after, but then you'd want to, you know, keep going, right? There's so many different variances you can do, and depending on the type of wood, the type of grain that you have, it's going to give you a different look. So I'm going to show you on the back of this. This is the frame that I'm going to be using for the dad cave. I don't want to do it too long inside, so I just want to quickly show you how I'm doing the back of this one. I don't have any camera set up for outside, so that's why I'm going to show you just a little bit here to hopefully make you feel comfortable, and then I'll finish this outside off camera. But I wanted to show you the process and hope you feel comfortable doing this, because it's not scary at all. It's super easy. It's very safe. Don't do it around any type of pilot lights. You know, just use your common sense. All the warnings are on the label. You can read the labels. I don't have anything in here that's going to ignite or anything like that. So, all right, so here we go. Let the fun begin. Like I said, I'm just going to do a little bit to kind of show you the look that you can get with the grain, and then that's going to be it. Okay, so I've already unlocked it. I've already turned my nozzle a little bit. I'm going to push the button. I'm going to hold it away. I don't want it right on it. I'm not going to point it towards anything but the wood. Okay, so here we go. So you can see it just lightly turning the wood grain. The closer I get, the darker it's going to become. The best thing to do with something like this is get a piece of scrap wood and practice with it. You know, go outside and just do a little bit of practicing. So see how it's coming a little bit darker? And what it does is it starts really bringing out the grains in the wood. Gives it a very nice vintage distressed look, if you will. Alright, so now I'm going to have a little bit more time on it. I'm going to keep sweeping it. Anytime that you want to simply stop, you just let go of the trigger. Simple as that. You can even do, I want to try to show you how you can do the edges. I don't know if you can see that, but you can do the edges a little bit darker, which also gives it a very unique look. I don't want you to be afraid of this, but I want you to be safe and cautious. See how that grain's really kind of looking pretty? That's got a little bit of sap in there. So see that? Super easy. Just take the flame off. It'll settle. Alright, so it's given it a nice hue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to try to give it a little bit more look, kind of somewhere in between here and here, okay? It's like I said, it's going to look different because the wood is going to look different depending on where the grain is. Remember, the tin is going to cover up most of it, or not the tin, the aluminum, okay? So there was just a really quick tutorial on how to use a blowtorch. And you know, the main thing is I want you to be safe and be careful, but just not be afraid of it. and know that the best thing you can do is take a scrap piece of wood. You know, if you're using pine, then get a scrap piece of pine, go to Home Depot, what have you, and ask them for, I'm going to turn my nozzle off here. Ask them for, you know, some scrap pine, tell them what you're going to be doing, and they'll give you, you know, they'll either give it to you or they'll charge you very little for a scrap piece of pine. I would get, you know, a good size, depending on your comfort level, you know, get like a piece of a pine molding or something like that. I don't know what they're called, 1x4, whatever. And just, you know, take it, go back and forth, kind of like I was doing, and you'll see, play with it. The closer your flame or the longer you hold it, the darker it gets. If you want, the main thing is just don't keep it in one place. You want to just kind of have a gentle motion, and you can always come back and do a little bit dark in one place or a little bit lighter in one place. It's just all a matter of personal, you know, preference, the look that you're going after. All right, I hope that helps, and I'll be back in a little bit to show you the finished product. Okay, so this was the one here that I was showing you just a little bit ago. This is the back. This is where the one that I was doing here is that little bit of sap. Okay, and that's just a little bit of the label that I didn't get all the sticky out, but it's the back. It's not going to matter. Okay, but as you can see, I did the sides, the edges, and the front, and then I'm going to use some E6000 glue here to adhere the tin, or not the tin, the aluminum sign to the front of the frame like that. Okay, and then this is the other one that I was telling you about that I did. This is the man cave one. This is the one that has the steel plate here and a tire tread, and then the red for the man cave. Okay, so there's just the back, there's the front, and then here's another one that has done with the sides. Ends up really nice. So basically the process was, you want to sand this down before you burn it, then you burn it, or you sand it down, then you wipe it down, then you burn it, and then you take some steel wool and smooth it all out. So it looks, the color's a lot more bolder, the black and the darkened area is a lot more bolder, but when you use the steel wool, it helps smooth it out and just give it a really nice finish. This is super soft. Okay, so that's how it comes out, and then you wipe it again after the steel wool. And then once it's clean, you can put the E6000, like I'm going to do right now, and just glue it on. And then just find whatever hanger, back hanger works for you. You could actually even use a soda pop top and just kind of nail it in there. But you know how those little kits sell little hardware back ends, or Michael's, or a hardware store. We'll be able to get exactly what you'll want for where you're going to want to put it. Or, like I mentioned, they also look really great on these stands if you didn't want to hang it. So these look really good on shelves, bar tops, or whatever. You know, ends up looking really cool. So I think these are awesome gifts for guys. Right? Sometimes it's hard to find something we can make for them that they might actually appreciate, and I think this is very impressive, and I think any guy would be pleased to have a sweet cave sign like either one of these. Alright, so that's it. So remember to create with love. I'm going to put this on after I get my cat off of my counter. I don't want to squirt this on here with him. He's right next to me, so say hi. Well, he's over there. You can't see him, but he's like 10 inches from my sign. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and glue this off camera. Basically, all you do is you squirt it on the back of here. Put it here, let it rest 24 to 48 hours before touching. So there you have it. So remember to create with love. Bye.